bearer of bad news is something that no one really wants to be in a position to do. The reason being that we don't like receiving bad news ourselves, and we may feel responsible for other people's feelings. However, as a healthcare professional, this is your bread and butter. The more you work with patients on a clinical or regular basis, delivering bad news is part and parcel of your job. But there are ways in which you can navigate around this process in order to do it more effectively and in a more empathetic manner. To learn more, stay tuned for the rest of this video. The founder of Healthy Dynamics. We are a coaching practice that helps healthcare professionals from non-English speaking countries improve their language and communication skills in order to become the best at their jobs and serve their patients best while forming the most constructive and long-term intimate relationships in a professional setting with their patients. Now, in case you're wondering what this logo on my shirt actually means, so this is a long weekend where I am currently in Australia, Victoria, Australia. And the reason for that is because we have a tournament, or what we call a religion, called Aussie Rules, or AFL, or Australian football. And this weekend happens to be the grand final of that football. And it's very similar to the Super Bowl in the US. Now, this particular team that you see here, Collingwood Magpies, is the team that I barrack for in AFL, and they have made it to the finals this year. So I am very excited about watching them battle it out with the rival team Brisbane Lions this weekend. And it's probably the only AFL grand final that I've been remotely interested in, seeing that I don't mind the sport as such, but the only time that I get really interested is when Collingwood is actually in the finals. And they haven't been in that position for the past 13 years. So this is a very monumental week.
Good old Collingwood forever. They know how to play the game. Side by side they stick together to uphold the Magpies' name. See the barrackers are shouting, as all barrackers should. Oh, the premiership's a cakewalk for the good old Collingwood.
Now, this obviously is an example of a good news that I received last week when Collingwood won. However, if they lose tomorrow in the grand final, it's not going to be the best news that I will receive, and I will be pretty disappointed. And that's just how life goes. You have to take in the good with the bad. And as a healthcare professional, you will always be in a position where you have to deal with delivering bad news to your patients and their families. And that can be a very tricky and very sort of awkward position, because on one hand, you are there to serve your patients. You are obviously there to give them the best experience and treatment. However, when it comes to their health, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. You're not always going to be in a position where you are going to be giving them the best news every single time, because their health might change. There may be complications in their health conditions or in any procedure that they may have undergone. So just to give you some examples, in my job in radiology, I often hear from sonographers that when they have to deliver the news of a miscarriage to a patient, a pregnant patient, especially a late-term miscarriage, it's incredibly hard and also very devastating for both them as sonographers as well as the patient. Similarly, as a veterinary nurse or a veterinary professional, someone who works with animals, and we all know pets and animals are a huge part of our family, someone we love and cherish dearly. I know for a fact because I'm a crazy dog lady and I absolutely love dogs. I have a dog of my own. There's a picture of him right over here, and he does make an appearance in some of my videos from time to time. But yes, if as a veterinarian, if you have to again deal with sick, injured, vulnerable animals on a daily basis and you're responsible for their health, there will come a time where their quality of life is not going to be the best, and you have to deliver this news to their owners, which can be very, very heartbreaking and devastating for both, especially if you love animals. Similarly, another scenario where I can think of is if you're, say, a cancer specialist who works closely in the oncology space with patients, and if you have to deliver the news about a stage 4 prognosis of cancer to a patient, it can be very, very devastating. And in this video, I just wanted to focus specifically on why delivering bad news is something that not just as healthcare professionals, but even as humans, we find it extremely tricky and challenging. But there are 4 main reasons that I'd like to touch on. So here we go. Number 1 is that you feel responsible. So you feel responsible for how your patients feel, how they operate, how they act, how they are functioning physically, mentally, and emotionally. And delivering bad news means that you are sort of responsible for, you feel responsible for how they may feel after they receive that news. So that's number 1. Number 2, you may feel as a failure or feel defeated for not doing a good enough job. So you may feel that, oh, if I had treated this patient better, if I had helped this dog or cat or horse or whatever, given them the best medication or a better treatment plan, it would have prolonged their life, it would have improved their quality of life. If I had done a better operation or surgery, say as a gynecologist, you normally have, when you're having procedures done as gynecologists on pregnant patients, you can have a situation where the mother as well as the child can be in danger, and that could be fatal, and you can have stillborn situations or miscarriages, late-term miscarriages, as I said. So you may feel like you have not done a good job, and that may be the case to some extent, but it's not always true. Sometimes it's too late, and sometimes nature just takes its course, but it's also very, very hard for us to not take that personally as healthcare professionals, because we really, really care about our patients. We care about their well-being, their health, their happiness, everything. So if something sinister has happened where a patient for whatever reason has not survived, you may take that upon yourself to think that you are not good at your job. Now that may not be true, but you have internalized it that way, and that can take a toll on you emotionally for a very long time. So that's the second reason. The third reason really is that you may have experienced something similar. So as I mentioned previously, most veterinarians tend to be pet owners themselves. So they have a couple of animals, a couple of dogs, cats, or even like a big bunch of animals. So for them to actually, and they being pet owners, it's inevitable that you will lose your pets. They don't live as long as we do. So you may actually have that painful experience of losing your pets at a certain point in your life. And they may have experienced this multiple times as a veterinarian or as a pet owner, but also they have now executed in their job as a veterinarian. So when you have been in a similar position as the patient, you might be able to empathize with them a little bit better, but also it puts you in that really difficult position where you really can't openly express if you're grieving, if you're feeling sad. It can be very hard to sort of navigate that particular process. And the final reason why we find it very hard to deliver bad news as healthcare professionals is that you are really not able to give the patient what they want. Now, I'm aware that, and I have mentioned this in the previous videos, that it's not our job to give patients what they want, but what they need. But by here, what I'm specifically referring to is you're not able to give them the best care, the best solutions, the best options. And while you may have done that, things may have completely gone out of your control, and you're now in a position where you may feel very guilty that you have not been able to deliver something that you may have promised or something you may have guaranteed. That's a little bit tricky. Don't guarantee or promise anything. But also, it is important that you have to be very, very honest and transparent with your patient, not just tell them what they want to hear. And that is something that I would mention not in next week's video, but the week after, where it comes to transparency and honesty. So I did promise myself that I will make my videos a little bit shorter here onwards, and lo and behold, this one is one of the shortest videos that I have done for the time being. So far we have covered the reasons why we hesitate to deliver bad news to our patients as healthcare professionals. Next week's video, we will look at how we can deliver this news in an empathetic and effective manner that puts us in a position of empathy, but also sort of makes us differentiate or draw that line between being too emotionally invested and also being professional. So hope you found this video enjoyable and useful. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be alerted for when the next video will be coming up. That's usually on a weekly basis. And thank you very much for your time, support, for watching and attention. And I will see you guys same time next week. Thank you so much.